Hello everybody, Prowl here, and I got a lot of news here for you today about Hytale. We're going to talk about things from how many copies of the pre-release sold, kind of. We have information about zones and where you spawn and what spawning in looks like, so I want to talk about that as well. Simon has a really important message for the community that I wanted to share with you, and a few other things as well. If you like these types of videos, do me a favor, drop a like, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you use code PROWL8413 when you purchase Hytale or you purchase anything in-game in Hytale in the future. Okay, first one is out about the creator program that I like to highlight because a lot of people can participate in this that don't know about it. So Simon said, glad to see all the Hytale creators receiving strong support from their communities with the creator codes. The future is looking great. Thank you everyone for supporting them through the years. If you want to be in our Hytale support creator program, please get in touch with us at creators@hytale.com. We may take a few days to reply as we are a small team, but we will get to you as soon as possible. YouTubers, modders, map makers, artists, and streamers are welcome. And that's the last part I wanted to highlight here. It's really cool that they're doing this because they're not only catering to people like me who make videos and like stream. I love that they're catering to a much wider audience. Does that mean that I might have less people use my code? Yes. Do I care? Not really, because I'm just glad that they are supporting creators in this way, because it's going to help create a strong ecosystem of content for those that don't make the content to look around and consume. And it's just going to help a lot of people out. It's really cool that they're being very generous like this with people that love the game or are fans of the game. Okay, I asked here on Twitter, I really want to know how many pre-sales of Hytale sold in the first 24 hours. And Alonzo backed me up and said, please, Simon, a little leak. And Simon said, a bit too many. Working in game right now to make sure it's ready. So unfortunately, they haven't told us how much they've sold. I don't know if they ever will. We can only guess how many they've sold. And anybody that says anything in terms of number is just a guess. I know that their Discord has 250,000 people in it. I know that 1.4 million people watched the Curse Breaker trailer. And I know just from seeing people talking to me and telling me that a lot of people have bought multiple copies of the game. So I wouldn't be surprised if they sold more than 1 million copies from, anywhere from like 400 to 600,000 unique players. That's just my guess. I bought 4 copies myself, 2 for me and 1 for each one of my kids. So a lot of people are buying multiple copies for a lot of different reasons. And I really hope we get to hear what this is someday. I would be very intrigued to know. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about how spawning in or where you spawn in Hytale works. Ridge says, will Hytale do a central spawn continent on launch? I remember you mentioning this before. I really liked that idea and definitely find it more interesting than just a fully infinite world. Simon responded by saying, trying to replicate this a bit with the infinite world. It's a quote unquote pick your poison kind of challenge, LOL. And then a follow up to this one is Ridge said, what if there was a continent and around it an ocean? Outside that, an infinitely generating world. Best of both worlds, perhaps. And Simon responded saying, yes, but no time to perfect that tech in time before launch. Therefore, we'll try to make it work. This is something that has been talked about previously, and I think this first thing that Ridge said here is something that the Hytale team has talked about previously as kind of what they want to do. A starting continent surrounded by ocean, and then you have infinite world outside of that. It sounds like that may still be the direction they're going, but they don't have that ready for early access launch. A lot of people have been very confused as to how this is going to work, so I'm going to perfectly illustrate it for you in MS Paint. So if you didn't know already, Hytale currently is broken up into zones. We'll talk about zones in just a little bit, and I'll probably elaborate on this drawing further with zones. But what we're talking about right now is there would be a central island. So just imagine a randomly shaped island or continent. And then all 4 zones that we know about that exist right now would exist on this continent. So you would have, 1 zone, 2 zone, and then 3 and 4 zone. And then around that continent would be water, like a big ocean. And then outside of this ocean would be your infinitely generating world. I think the point behind this would be to put a lot of the more adventure mode slash storied elements of the game within the confines of this continent, or just to give the player access to guaranteed content from all 4 zones close to where they start, and then separating that out from the rest of the world. Some people may or may not like this. I don't know. I personally think it's fine as long as we have infinite, as long as, first of all, the continent itself is procedurally generated by the seed number, meaning that every start of a new world is different. You start in a different place. The continent is different shape and size, and the biomes are different shape and size. And I think that's cool. I'm fine with it. And then you have infinitely generating world outside that, of course, is all procedurally generated based off of the seed number as well. That's cool. I love it. The next thing here is about the zones. Fish says, Simon Hypixel, so about the zones, tell us more. The wiki is aching to learn more. Simon responded, zones are being reviewed this week for several reasons. The team successfully got Infinite Worlds working properly with World Gen version 1 just a few days ago. We need to complete a tuning / configuration pass, and we should be ready to launch with it. I tested today and spent a few hours just flying around and having fun finding happy little accidents, which is really cool. I wish we could see what some of those happy little accidents are. Coming from playing Minecraft myself, happy little accidents in world generation are actually really fun to see. So who knows if they're taking those out or if he thought those were cool and they're going to stay in. Let's continue. This changes a lot. Every playthrough will be vastly different. So we want to make sure gameplay wise, it's still balanced and that we don't have issues where some zones near spawn are too small, etc. Right now, the tech can verify that zone 1 is large enough to spawn the player, but we want to make sure zone 2, 3, and 4 are okay. Maybe it's fine if sometimes they are small. As the world's infinite, you could still travel to see bigger ones anyway. That said, we need to lock in the zone names instead of using zone 1, 2, 3, and 4. The names shouldn't change much from what the public knows, but maybe a tiny bit to clarify and avoid confusion with regions, biomes, names. We'll confirm this week. So there are names for the zones. I can never remember them. I remember zone 1 is like Emerald Grove, and zone 3 is like Borea Snows or Snowy Borea or something like that. You guys roast me down in the comments below. That's fine. I'll take it. But they're just kind of confirming that the names that are there are either what they want or if they want to tweak them to make sense a little bit more. And I'm going to give you more information on the zones here in just a moment. But the way that you're going to spawn into your world, at least as of now, is going to be that you always spawn in zone 1. Zone 1 is kind of like the quote unquote easier zone. And they want to have zones 2, 3, and 4 immediately around you or close proximity to you. That way you can visit all of the zones, I guess, early or whatever their reason is. That's what they want. Okay. There's an issue with sometimes zone 2, 3, or 4 will maybe be like really small. And I think they don't like that that's the case. But as he's saying, like, hey, it's an infinite world, so you could technically find more of them anywhere. So before I talk about this a little bit more, let's continue to the next post. Uhu Boohoo says, I always thought that you spawn on an island with all 4 zones or 6. There used to be talk of 6 zones. Now it's 4, at least for now. And then if you travel out on the ocean, you get to not zone-based world gen with a lot of dungeons and stuff that is not story related. Simon says, that's what we are trying to change and replicate with infinite world gen, without the use of any static masks for the main island. I think static masks refers to specific things being in specific spots, which would mean that every new world you start in, at least some things would always be the same in every single world you start. And they don't want that. They want every playthrough to be unique, which I 100% agree with. Difficult task given the time we have left. I would also say, he says, given the time we have left, we're fine. Like if we can't have these things at early access launch, I don't think most of us really care. We understand the game's going to be in a incomplete state by a long shot. Just get done what you can, and then we'll play through whatever's there, and then we'll enjoy the new stuff whenever you add it and make the changes. Let's go into talking about zones a little bit more, because a lot of people don't understand the way zones work. I'm going to pull back up my super duper, very cool art that I'm doing in MS Paint here. So we already did the continent and we already did the ocean. So this is all ocean right here. And the way that these zones work, our zones are actually just groupings of biomes, or Simon might be calling them regions. We'll have to see what terminology they want to use. But for now, we're going to call them biomes. So we don't know how many biomes will exist inside of each zone, but there may be a lot of them. So zone 1 may consist of 3 or 6 or 10 different biomes. Same thing for zone 2, zone 3, and zone 4. So it's not like you only have 4 biomes. You have 4 groupings of like biomes with zones. So when a zone generates, this zone may generate with, this is zone, let's say this is zone 1 right here. Let me go ahead and label that as zone 1. So zone 1 may be made up of a bunch of different biomes like this. I know that looks really good. So you could have biome, let's label this in a different color. You could have biome 1, biome 2. You could have another biome 2 over here. This could be biome 3, etc. You understand how I'm laying this out. So a zone is just simply a sensible grouping of biomes. If you play Minecraft, Minecraft actually works almost the exact same way. They just don't call them zones. Minecraft actually has groupings of zones or biomes by what they judge their temperature to be. So cold biomes are part of a group, and then temperate or warm biomes are part of a group, and then hot biomes are part of a group. And they've done that to try to create a transition between biomes. They don't really want a cold biome to be beside a hot biome. So they want there to be a transition of cold biomes can touch each other, and then a cold biome can touch a warm biome, but a cold biome can never touch a hot biome, whereas a warm can touch both of them, if that makes sense. So if you've played Minecraft, you're already familiar with this. They're just taking it to a slightly advanced level here. Now, the way that I understand things to work is once you get to the outer edge, once you get past this ocean, is where you'll have more zone generation. Your zones will definitely be shaped the way that I'm showing you right here. And this is where the infinite world comes in, right? So you may have this right here be zone 1, and then you could have another zone 1 right here. And then this could be a zone 2, and this could be a zone 3. Now, I do believe that the way generation will work is certain zones will only touch certain zones and not other zones. I don't know what that's going to be. We'll find out at some point, but this is generally how I best understand and can best explain the way that I think they want zones to work, or I'm at least mostly right about it, and maybe some things will change. The last thing I'll say is this. They want you to start in zone 1, and zone 1 they want to be larger because the zones do have a little bit of a difficulty scaling. It's not crazy, don't worry, at least from what Simon has said. But zone 2 and 3 will be a little bit more difficult than zone 1, and zone 4 will be a little bit more difficult than zone 2 and 3. Difficulty, we mean by the ability to traverse them. We mean by maybe like survivable things that exist, maybe like passive animals and food that's around. And it could also mean the difficulty of some of the mobs that are there and the structures that exist inside of them, or the dungeons or whatever that exists inside of them. But I did want to highlight the fact that it's a small increase in difficulty. It's not massive. It's not like if you start in zone 1 and then walk into zone 2 right away, that everything's going to one-shot you and you're going to instantly die everywhere you go. That's not how it is. But if you start to try to fight some of the mobs there or raid some of the structures, you're going to notice, this is a little bit harder than zone 1. And maybe to make the combat easier, you might want to get a little bit better gear. If you're good at combat, you might not need to do that, and you can just get by with kind of standard gear anyways. But they wanted there to be a tiny bit of progression in the different zones to make them feel a little bit difficult from each other. The best way I can compare it is the Nether is harder than the overworld in Minecraft. So when you go to the Nether, you expect it to be harder. It's kind of a similar concept here, but within the overworld area itself. And next we have a large post from Simon. I had to break it into 2 parts. It was so big. I am not going to read this word for word. There's quite a lot here, but I just want to summarize the main sentiment. And if you wanted to read the whole thing, you can either see it on Twitter or just pause the video right now and read it yourself. Basically, in the first section of the post, Simon is kind of letting you know how they've gotten to the stage that they're at right now, a lot of the challenges that they had along the way, and is talking about why they decided to rush the game out. He said they made a promise. They were going to release the game as soon as possible to get it into players' hands to quote unquote break the curse. So he could have easily decided, you know what, we're not going to do that actually. I want to get the game in a better state today, and we'll release it in 6 months or 9 months or whatever. That's not what he promised. So he's delivering on his promise. That is very important for him. And most Hytale gamers, it is very important for them too. They understand it and they're willing, myself included, to play a quote unquote broken game until the point where we add in all of the extra stuff to make it more complete or make it better or get rid of the bugs. If you're not in that camp, then Simon also says in this that that's okay. Like, he doesn't want you to feel pressured to buy the game. There's no FOMO. You don't have to buy now to get certain stuff. You can buy anytime during early access, even years from now, and still get the cool stuff, the same cool stuff that you can get today. So there's no pressure for people to jump in right now. If you're having fun with Terraria or Minecraft or Grounded 2 or whatever it is that you're playing, he's fine with you staying and playing those games for now and hopes that you'll come and take a look at Hytale whenever you feel like it's ready. He also gives some of the things that they have made mistakes on, which I thought is good. Most gaming companies, most owners of studios, they're not going to admit mistakes because they don't want to draw attention to it. I'm going to actually read these ones to you because I think it's important that he says these things. There's acknowledgement here, and it's good to acknowledge these things. So one of the things he says is name reservations were intended to reward longtime fans. Still, we lacked sufficient time and information to verify the email list's integrity, and some longtime fans were missing from it. The username generator produced unintended results, and our name filters failed to catch some unacceptable cases. The payment system continues to report issues. Communication regarding avatar customization, Steam release, modding, and pricing was insufficiently detailed, leading to misinterpretation or confusion. Blog posts and technical write-ups have landed on an unpredictable schedule. And game server providers, server owners, creators, and business inquiries were not receiving responses as quickly as we would like or as they deserve. So he's kind of admitting a lot of the faults and a lot of the things that he wishes that they had done better. And in the second half, again, he's kind of explaining a little bit about kind of where things are going with the game, the update process, and further explaining some of what we've already talked about. There are 2 paragraphs here that I do want to read aloud to you because I think they are important. For us, early access success looks like this. You start a world, and the first impression and immersion leave you thinking, this is much better than they said. After more time, you also start to see the rough edges and still end your first day thinking, this game has a lot of potential. I'll come back and keep up with updates. Or get you inspired to get into making maps, content, mods, or a minigame server. As you will be playing through the first week of Hytale, we will already follow up with the first patch. We will release updates rapidly in the first few weeks, with pre-releases available more frequently. You start on the 4-year-old archaeology project, but within months, you will find yourself in a flow of rapid development previously unthinkable. So that's kind of an experience that he's hoping that people have when they start to play. And you notice here, he's not even expecting people to stick around after they play at first. He's kind of expecting people to poke around, see what things are about, try some stuff out, and probably move on to other things and kind of check in periodically. I'm sure a lot of people that will be the case, and a lot of people will probably keep playing. Next, we have a more technical post that I thought was really interesting from Slikey. I really am not a super technical person when it comes to game development, so he has said a lot of other very cool things. If you are a mod maker or a developer and you understand developer speak, you probably want to follow him and read a lot of his posts. But I thought this one was interesting to the average person. Connor says, is there going to be the capabilities to disable certain vanilla features entirely or have more control over them, like precise control over chunk loading, disabling lighting updates, creating void worlds, disabling mob AI? Slikey responded, yes to all of them. You don't just disable it, but you can entirely unload the capabilities from the class loader and replace them with custom solutions. So to break this down into layman's terms, what this is likely going to mean is mods and servers, especially servers, minigame servers, and that sort of thing, are actually going to be very optimized or optimizable. Entities like NPCs are typically a hog on a game like this. When at the game like Minecraft, the game has to account for all of the actions that they can potentially take. Has to account for their AI, their pathing, and all these different things that the mobs can do. So what can happen is if somebody has a mod or somebody has a server and part of that involves a lot of NPCs for various reasons, I'm sure you can think of many examples that would have to do with RPG style mods and servers. Instead of all of those things being present, but just being disabled, the modders can actually go through and remove every component of an AI entity that is not needed, strip it down and leave only what they do need, or even leave custom things that they want to add in. This ultimately means that there's going to be a lot of optimization that modders and server creators can do to make their experiences perform better. I thought this was really cool that they do this. I'm sure others in like the gaming industry probably do similar, but I thought it was worth noting. And then lastly, we have a post from Thomas Frick here, who handles the art direction for Hytale. He says, sitting in front of a work in progress document at the moment, and the title says art blog post, #Hytale. So it sounds like we're going to be getting a art blog post here pretty soon. Not sure if this is going to be block art, concept art, or something else, but be on the lookout for that. I'll be sure to cover it when it comes out. I appreciate you guys watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, click the like button, subscribe, use code PROWL8413 at checkout, and let me know what you thought about the content of today's news video. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time.